Okay, Dave is coming on now. Um, Thanks everyone for joining. Here he is. Hi, Dave. I'm going to move back a little bit so my head isn't so large on there. Okay.
Thanks for having me. Sorry, it's kind of glitchy.
Turned it up a little bit so it's a bit brighter. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I was just turning up so it's a bit brighter for everyone. It's amazing to see you, of course.
Thanks for having me.
Again. So first thing I want to say, obviously, is that we've been near and dear friends for a long time. And I was thinking about it last night. And I told you about this earlier.
Right.
We have been friends now for almost going on 10 years.
I know, that's crazy, right?
Yeah. It's pretty insane, and the music world is insane. And and we met. I was thinking about it, and we of course met when you were touring and playing with the Yes on the Igtv tour, which was I think 2009. Yeah, and we were backstage, and you came and sat next to me, and it was instant.
That's what it was. Yeah, I was trying to remember, like I guess it was that. I definitely remember like Cherry Bar, like being at Cherry Bar.
We went. Yeah. So you sat next to me. We started chatting, and of course, we like everything the same. We just bonded immediately, and then of course, Cherry Bar.
Yeah.
And then we've been in touch nonstop, I guess, since then. And you came back when you were playing with Interpol as well.
That's right.
And we caught up then, and when you were in your snazzy suits.
And, that's right.
Yeah, and we went and hung out in the city, and lots and lots of fun memories. And I mean, we used to talk almost every day back in the day.
Yeah.
So it's amazing just to see you now, and of course, it would, I can't not mention, we did nearly lose you,
right.
In 2015, which, was a really hard time, obviously for yourself, but, it was you remember, it was chaos at the time, and I remember how heartbreaking it was, and I remember calling everybody possible, and just calling your phone, calling your phone, trying to get in touch and reach out. I know that we've all had issues, and I know, I was involved I knew what was going on in your personal life and that kind of thing, and it was really shock to me. So I'm really happy to see you.
Oh, I'm happy to see you too.
Today.
Like, I'm happy to be here, to be able to, to do things like this 5 years later or whatever. So.
Yeah, exactly. And
sorry, it's hot as hell.
You're right. So it's a testament. I think it's a testament to how strong you are, and I think it's a testament to how many people really love you. And I think that you know that now.
I do, I didn't at the time. I feel like, you feel alone when you're going through like something like that. And I was shocked at like, like you stepping up and like just everybody coming together. Like it was, definitely gave me, like I just didn't realize that I was not alone, and I think that's a big thing for anyone going through that, to just like, you actually aren't alone. Like no matter how you convince yourself, how much you convince yourself that you are, like, you have an effect on people, like just being alive, you're going to make an impression on people. So.
Yeah. And you had an amazing effect. And, I think that experience, you know, it affected everybody
Yeah.
involved, and you know, and I'm just so happy again that you're still here, and
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
because you know, it was scary, and it was, yeah, it was a really tough time for
Yeah.
everybody involved, and yeah, so I just wanted to mention that because I know, um, you know, you've talked about it before, but you know, it is something that is really important to just mention
Oh yeah, for
as
sure. Like
well. Yeah.
it's a part of who I am now, like it was really public, like everybody who knows me knows about it. So
Yeah,
it's like
exactly. Yeah.
um I definitely uh I feel like it's shaped who I am now. So like it should be brought up. Like to me it'd be weird to not bring it up. Like I think I
Yeah,
mentioned that to you
exactly.
before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, and me to you. So yeah,
Yeah.
again, love you, and yeah,
Oh, I love you
I'm
too,
just I'm
Renee.
just um. So we'll start with the actual Q&A now that I didn't cry or anything, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Gosh.
um, so yeah, the next thing I guess I wanted to talk to you about, like, I've got a huge list of things, but firstly, I guess we've talked about our love of the Misfits, of
Yeah.
course,
Yeah.
and and you made this incredible covers record, which you shared with me a long time ago, called Scream With
Yeah.
Me. And I think I've got the beautiful black artwork, not the,
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Um,
yeah.
yeah, and that album I listened to repetitively. And I think during that time in 2015 as well, um, I felt so, that's my real connection. Like, and I listen to
Right.
that all the time because I really remember, um, that love we shared for that. And I love that album so much because
Yeah.
you brought a level and a layer to already great music and already great lyrics.
Yeah.
Um, you brought this totally new, like, emotional, even darker level by singing
Yeah.
it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Well, that's
In
the
this,
thing. Yeah.
yeah. And
I can tell you the story behind that if you want.
I would love, yeah, I would love to
Um,
hear that.
I mean, like one thing I do when I'm making a solo record is I usually have like one influence or something that like inspires me to, like, I have to be kind of, compelled by something just to have the motivation to make a solo record. And
Hmm.
so I was working on what became the Pajo record where I sang and stuff, and I was like trying to think of like what songwriters do I like, one thing I do is I just try to figure out songs by artists that I like, and I was like, I love the Everly Brothers, I love Bruce
Yeah,
Springsteen, like I was like, I've always liked the Misfits. I've always loved their lyrics. I've always loved
yeah,
the melodies are stuck in my head, and I feel
yeah,
like the songwriting quality gets lost in the bad production and the distortion and stuff. And
yeah. In the punk vibe,
yeah,
you can't fully appreciate how intense those lyrics are.
yeah, and how beautiful the melodies are and everything. Like,
Hmm.
and how
Hmm.
funny some of the lyrics are. Like, there's one
Yeah,
there's one line that's like uh, this omelet of disease, like, is your noontime meal or something like that,
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
just really bizarre, like this omelet of disease. He's feeding to somebody, and the lyrics to Bullet are so perverse, like he
Yeah,
relates like
yeah,
slurping cum from your Jackie O's hand with
yeah.
oh man, my son is upstairs. I don't think he can hear me, but uh, uh, to like a dry desert soaking up rain. It's like
Yeah, yeah,
poetic and
yeah.
perverse at the same time.
At the same time, yeah.
But like
Even like,
yeah. so I guess my goal, I was like, I'll just figure out his songs, and I recorded. I was I guess like a couch surfing roommate for uh, these two girls, Alessandra and Maximilla in New York, and they were both. I happened to be out of town for a while, so I had the place to myself, and
Yeah.
and she had a cassette record. She had a cassette that player that you could record on, and I think I just used one of her tapes, and I played I figured out these songs, and I played them, and recorded them to this cassette, and I was like, okay, this is cool, like I feel like I'm in the vibe now to write my own songs, and so and when I just left the cassette in the player, and went and found my own flat or whatever, and I think it was like a year later or something, Alessandra was like, she found it on cassette, and I think she loved it and started making, she made a CD of it and started giving it to people. And then it was so long, this is long-winded, but like this
No.
photographer guy was taking pictures of me, and he was like, who, I heard the Misfits thing that you recorded. I was like, what, how? And he told me, and we traced it down, and he said that he was shooting Sean Marshall, Cat Power, and she put it on, was playing it. And he was like, wow, this is great, and he got a copy of it. So it was like, it just made the rounds. And then,
I said to you yesterday that that I've been sharing the MP3 of the album to like everyone I know for years as well. So I'm always sharing it.
That's exactly what I love about music. It's not about promotion or marketing and stuff. It's just like, if it's a good thing, like it'll find its audience, like I never intended for a soul to hear that, and and then a friend wanted to put it out on vinyl and stuff. So, like Spiderland's kind of the same way. Like we broke up before the record came out, and it's like it's like the music is what carried it. It wasn't because we toured to push the record or anything. It was just the music stands on its own, and it'll find its audience. So that really is the invisible power of music that I worship, I guess. That's my God, if I have a God.
And like you said, Spiderland. I mean, a majority of people obviously know you more so from Slint. That's and I think that album is like a quintessential album to many people. And like you said, it is kind of ironic that you broke up. Prior to it. And then it became like this cult album that so many people love and refer to, and are always covering or referring back to. And and that is the power, like you said, of music. And and you didn't, like you said, you didn't even like have tours and promotion. It's like, here's this creation, and you put it out there, and everyone, it just resonated immediately. And
it was like word of mouth.
And it still does. Like, it's constantly talked about. That's got to be something that personally means a lot to you. Like the fact that you worked on this, and it's just constantly talked about as this amazing thing.
It's really crazy. Like I'm still surprised when people have even heard of Slint or whatever. And
really?
The fact that it's still, to me, it's always like this obscure band. It's always going to be under the radar because it's, it's like 6 songs, but like it's found like a young audience still too. Like that's one thing I learned from the reunion tours, is that I just assumed it was all going to be old timers like me, and it was going to be like a nostalgia trip, or like they'd get a chance to see this band that they never had a chance to see before. But there was like even up to the 2014 reunion, like really young like people who were our age when we made the record were coming out to
Yeah,
shows.
yeah, yeah.
People like people my age were bringing their teenage, you know, sons and daughters to the show because they were bigger fans than they were. Like it was,
Yeah.
it's just
I
really
mean,
cool.
that must have been so, like, what was that experience like performing, actually getting to perform it? And
Yeah.
with the guys so many years later, like how did that come about, and what was that like?
I mean, it was super cool, you know, like they're, you know, to play with childhood friends is like, I'm up for any excuse to play with those guys, you know, like,
Yeah.
you know, we grew up together, and but the weirdest thing about it was that we were so used to being like an obscure band. We were so used to playing to, you know, uh, not, you know, maybe 10 people or like maybe more, but there would be like 10 people that we knew that actually liked it, or,
Yeah.
so it was really weird to, yeah, there was experience that proved to me that it wasn't just us and it wasn't just like that, you know, I guess yeah, it was just weird that so many people, like more people than I thought, were into it, which is great, you know, because I was always a huge Slint fan. Even though I was a Slint member, like it was my favorite music too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so it's just super cool that like other people feel the same way, you know, as I do about the band. So,
Yeah.
uh, and I think that now the other guys agree that it's, you know, that it's not just a nostalgia trip. You know, I mean,
No,
I hope it stands the test of time. It has so far. So
yeah, I think it will. Like I said, it seems to have this like recurring like resurgence constantly. Whenever there's
right,
like, let's talk about like important albums, or like, you know, like everyone's got like a favorite, you know, like Slint song. I was talking to a local artist. I don't know if you ever met her actually, Bonnie Mercer. Um, and she's an amazing guitarist, and she was telling me how important, when I was telling her about this Q&A, how important Spiderland was to her,
right,
as
man, that's really cool.
just as a guitarist. So, you
Yeah,
know, and it's like, you know, it was really like an important album. So, you know, I think it it is much more powerful than you guys obviously ever thought it was going to
yeah,
be.
yeah, yeah.
um,
It's crazy.
yeah, and then of
Yeah,
course you moved on to various other projects. You know, with Tortoise, Ariel M, and then Papa M,
yeah.
and doing Pajo. Um, I always wanted, I guess, one thing I always wanted to talk or mention was, you know, for you, what's the defining, like, what's the difference between, say, Pajo and Papa M?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's sort of a loosely defined thing, but I started with I just wanted to call it M, you know, for a while, because to me it was more of a shape or a symbol
Yeah.
than a band name. I really liked when Prince changed his name to just that symbol. Like I
Symbol?
thought that was
Yeah.
the coolest, and so I wanted to do that, like kind of like, and the letter
Mm.
M was more like a lightning bolt or something. I just thought it looked cool.
Yeah.
And it turns out there's a band called M from the 80s, and they did that song Pop Music, talking about pop
Yes.
music. I don't know if you,
Talk about
that's by a
pop
band called
music.
M.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I have to change the name.
Yeah.
And it was like M is the 13th letter, and then it was Ariel M. But the idea with Ariel M was that it would be all instrumental. It would all be like standard tuning and no real effects, like no, just plug straight into the amp, and what can you do with two guitars, bass, and drums? That was it. It was just like is that, you know, what can happen with if that's all you have, you know? And that was the
Yeah.
idea
Yeah.
behind Ariel M. And then when I started doing electronic stuff and vocals and all this stuff, it didn't seem right to call it Ariel M anymore, because it didn't fit in with that concept. It was like a different headspace. So I changed the name again. And so Papa M can basically be whatever, anything. But the Pajo stuff was weird just because it was super personal. Like it felt I felt like I had to do it under my own name. Can you hear my cat meowing?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That wasn't a bodily noise. That was my cat. I forgot what I was talking about now.
Pajo being more personal.
Yeah, and I didn't release them on vinyl and stuff. But I feel like I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of Pajo, to be honest. Like I really like Ariel M and I like some Papa M, but yeah, that stuff is like just too. It's just too personal. It's like hard for me to listen to. Like,
right.
But yeah, that's it. That's basically the idea behind the various names.
The two. Yeah.
And I'm not really precious about everything
one?
having to be one band.
Yeah,
name,
yeah. Yeah, because often it's like Papa M and Pajo are kind of interchangeable.
Yeah.
Even though they're not really the same thing, the name itself is often just used as the same thing.
And like the old blues guys used to do that. Like John Lee Hooker would put out records as John Lee Hooker or John Hooker or there was John Cougar Mellencamp and John Mellencamp. I think not that he's an old blues guy, but it was.
What was that song? Now you've put it in my bloody head. Was it Copperhead Road? What was the John Mellencamp song? The big hit.
Oh, he had a couple. Johnny Cougar, like Hurt So Good was a good one.
Yes!
Hurt So Good.
I remember it from you know how much
Jack
I love
and Diane.
Kevin Bacon. Yeah, because you know how much I love Kevin Bacon, and Hurt So Good I think was in one of the scenes of Footloose.
Oh, really?
So,
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. When they go to a bar and they're like dancing. It's amazing.
Oh, it hurts so good. I should watch that.
It's really good. I know it's Kevin's a love-hate topic, but
right.
I'm a lover. I'm a Bacon lover, so but yeah.
Yeah. I don't mind him at all.
That
yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, but yeah, that song. It's a banger. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, I like his music, to be honest. Like, but I like a lot of weird. I mean, not that he's weird, but I like Billie Eilish. I love Madonna. Like and I love Funeral Doom and black metal.
I know, because I think that's probably one of the things that we were like bonding about when we first met. Was all this all the dark and our love of like morbid stuff.
Yeah.
And I think we've talked about it lots over the years about we just love dark shit and like real real authenticity. It's like there's a light side but there's a dark side, and it's just as important that someone shares the dark side with people.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's dishonest almost to like deny that a dark side exists. Like everybody has a dark side. Like just if you're you can bury it as much as you can, but like it still exists, And to me, it's like it's always going to stay dark unless you shed some light on it, So like I'm not obsessed with darkness necessarily, but I do recognize its existence, and I don't want it to dominate. You have to keep staying aware of it, like just to overcome some things.
Like with Pajo, I think I find, like you said, it's quite personal. I think Pajo, for me, is quite sad and melancholy, and that's something that was important at the time it was written, and you can only push that stuff down so far. So
that's right.
Yeah, I think that embracing it is much better than just not at all.
Yeah.
One thing I want to ask you now, though, is what is your favorite Madonna song? Well, now that you've mentioned
Oh
it.
gosh. I mean, I liked her from the start. Like, all the early stuff is great.
I
Lucky
was always
Star and Borderline, and
I was always Like a Prayer.
Like a Prayer was is probably the top record, like, for
I
her,
had
like
it,
that.
yeah, I had the single like on record when I was growing
Yeah.
up, and
Oh
it
my
was an
gosh.
amazing artwork, and I remember I had that and George Michael Faith,
Oh
and they used
yeah.
to just and they would just that when I was young, and I just loved Like a Prayer.
Yeah.
I loved the song, I loved the film clip, the aesthetic, the whole
Yeah.
fucking with everything, and and the Black Jesus, and just like the whole
Yeah.
lot.
Everything about, like, all that whole record's amazing. I haven't heard it in a long time, but like, I mean, I was listening to that before, like when we were writing songs for Spiderland. The drummer and I were for a lot, and I don't know if it was an influence, but like it was there was a depth to that record I really loved, and the drumming that's on it's really good. Yeah, I love Like a Prayer and everything before it, and some stuff after that. Like,
Yeah,
I kind of lost track for sure.
yeah,
Um,
same. Sort of got to a point where then I kind of disconnected. I mean, I
yeah.
loved like the whole erotica thing, and
Oh yeah, that record's great too. Of course, yeah,
mm,
yeah,
and she did the Justify My Love film clip was like,
yeah, yeah. That song's awesome. Yeah, I guess
yeah.
I liked a lot of stuff after Like a Prayer, actually.
You just kind of forget when it was, and I
Yeah,
mean, how important she was back then, and now she's kind of, I guess, just this pop thing, but back then,
right.
it was a different kind of, the sex book. Someone's just mentioned the sex book. I was going to say, yeah, the
Oh
sex
yeah.
book, and even the film, where she gives the blowjob on the
Oh,
coach.
that's yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
she was badass back then. She really was.
John
Um,
Waters had a funny quote about her. Like, he said that he liked Madonna because she made it okay for a lot of girls to dress like sluts, which is a fucked up thing to say, but
but it's true in a
girls
way, I
got
guess.
hotter when in the 80s once Madonna came around. I thought.
Yeah, because well, I mean, she almost she did the whole like the like satin slip, that whole
Yeah,
thing, like
torn lace and stuff,
mhm,
and rosaries and all the
yeah,
bangles
yeah,
on the arm. Yeah,
mhm. And she just brought that she brought the dark kind of goth sort of thing in at that time
yeah,
as well. But yeah, definitely very sexy. Yeah, that's why I like the perfume clip a lot, because that
yeah.
look she's got going on is like
Oh yeah.
legit.
Well,
um,
one thing about the darkness, like this, I don't know if I should mention. Well, yeah, I'll just mention it. Like,
Go ahead.
I was like, I have been obsessed with dark things since I was born. I feel like, and because I told you like earlier that but my son just learned how to ride a bike, and so I went bike riding with him before this, and we were talking about like when I was his age and I was ride a bike, he said that the thing he liked about Stranger Things is that kids all rode around on their bikes together.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, that's what we did in the neighborhood. You just like all your siblings and your friends in the neighborhood, you'd all ride around. And I was like, yeah, when I was your age and I would ride my bike, I would make these fake bullet holes because I was I was obsessed with like horror makeup even
Yeah,
when I was 10. I think I
yeah,
was obsessed when I was like 7. But like I would make these. I had the Dick Smith horror makeup kit, and
yeah, yeah.
Dick Smith did the makeup for Taxi Driver and Exorcist and stuff. Like I was obsessed
Mhm.
with Dick Smith, and so I'd make these realistic bullet holes and put fake blood dripping down my face and go ride around the neighborhood like that, like hoping that somebody would be like, that kid got shot in the head.
That's your
Um,
next EP, Bullet Holes and Riding Bikes.
yeah, there we go. Yeah, oh my God, that would be dark. Like, yeah, a
And
10-year-old riding a
throwing,
bike with a bullet hole. Yeah.
oh,
um, but yeah, like I feel like I've been like just super intrigued by the dark, just entertained really by the dark kind of morbid things like for as long as I can remember. So it
Yeah,
makes sense. Um,
same. And it's like something. Once you're in it, you're in it. I think.
or say that again. I cut out
Oh,
for a
sorry,
second.
you just did a little buffer. I was just saying, once you're sort of in it, you're in it. And you sort of, yeah, you're just
Yeah,
drawn to that. You know,
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
like you said with Stranger Things. Like for me, like it was like Goonies. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
and that kind
totally.
of thing. Like all those little crazy adventures and all that stuff that you go out, and
Yeah,
create and do and things like that.
and kids are
Um,
like the heroes, which is great if you're a kid watching
yeah,
the
and
show.
they're always the badass, yeah, and they're
Yeah.
always the ones who stop stuff, yeah. Um, Next, I was gonna say, you've worked with a lot of other bands as well. Like, you've, you played with Yeah Yeahs for quite a few years, doing keys and other things,
Right.
which I had the pleasure of seeing you live with doing it, and it was great. Um, and you've got a good relationship with those guys still, don't you?
Oh yeah, yeah. They're like my. I feel like they're like my surrogate family in a way. Like
Mm,
yeah, I love all of them.
yeah,
So yeah,
they are a
and
great.
Nick and I are in, like I feel like we talk almost every day. So or text or
That's
something.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I have a weird thing where I just run into Nick, where
Yeah.
like in the weirdest places. I remember when
Yeah.
I was in New York running up some stairs, and at the exact same time I was running upstairs, Nick was running up the stairs as well. It was to a Chelsea
Ah,
Wolf show, and we both like got to the stairs, and I was like, Nick, and I was like,
yeah.
weird, like just like, and then gone into Cherry, and Nick's there, and
Yeah.
been like, what are you doing here? And yeah, numerous times. He's a great dude, great
Yeah.
dude,
It
and
totally is.
Brian, and I remember, I don't think you came out that, oh, you did, I think, for a little bit as at Cherry Bar, and I managed to get Brian, who rarely drinks, very
Right.
drunk.
Really? I don't remember that for some reason.
Yes, yeah. You can ask Nick.
Wow.
Ask Nick about it. It was he doesn't really drink, and he just couldn't say no to me. And
Yeah.
I loaded him up with shots and
Brian,
everything.
that's amazing.
Yeah, and
I
yeah,
wish
it
I
was great.
remembered that because I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
Brian. I'd love to see him. I'd love to get wasted with him sometime. Yeah. So
Everyone was shocked, like, and they were like, "Oh,
yeah,
Brian doesn't really drink," and I was like, "Oh, Brian, just have a drink." And then
yeah,
I don't know, he couldn't resist the charisma, I guess.
yeah.
And I
I
just
guess
kept
so.
passing it on, or he was just being polite, and yeah, and then we just got like loads and loads of shots. So yeah, he got mega drunk. It was great.
Oh, that's
Something
awesome.
Probably one of the
Good.
things might not ever happen again.
Yeah.
But it was an amazing thing. And then of course, you did the bloody forgot now what I was gonna say. Um
Um.
Suits.
Interpol or the?
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
the suits.
Interpol. Yeah. Yeah.
Interpol. I was like, oh, I
Yeah.
had
That was
a
like
mind
I
blank.
did. The Yes for 2009 and 2010, and then I went straight to. I feel like I went straight to Interpol after that for a year, and then I went back with the Yes.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's right, something like that. And then,
Yeah.
and I then I did.
Did you get to keep the suit, or did they make you give it back?
Oh no,
Because
I
they
got
were
my own
that.
suits, but I mean, but I have to say there was one. We were in Milan, and we got hooked up with Prada suits, and I got to
That's what I
keep
was
that.
gonna say. You got to
Oh
keep that.
my gosh.
That's the one I was talking about. The Prada.
Yeah,
I would have been
and it
like,
was crazy
take it
because
and fucking run.
yeah, I mean they tailored it for you, of course, and then but like I'd be like they'd choose out what they thought worked with it, and I'd be like, oh, what about that? And then they'd pick out some shoes, and I was sort of testing it. I was like, but what about these boots? Like, and it was so expensive, And they were like, "Oh yeah, sure." And I got to keep all that stuff. I still have it upstairs. I never wear it really, but I should, maybe for a funeral or a
You can
wedding.
bust. Dude, just bust it out to some like.
Yeah, I should have worn it
some
today.
show.
Tonight.
Yeah, you could have. I mean, that was a fucking hot suit. I remember thinking, like, being like, when you said Prada, and like then, seeing everyone on stage wearing those suits, and they were like, because they were tailored, they were all like, skinny, kind of fitted, and like it was a look. It was a look. That's why I was like, please, I hope you stole it.
Yeah, no, I was lucky. I got to keep that. So
that's great. And then I guess you had the other projects. You had Zwan, which is so incredibly, I guess, different to
totally
all the other bands that you were with. Like we were talking about, it was like when it was first announced, that the band was happening and you were in it. I was like, wow, that's amazing, because I'd always been a Pumpkins fan.
Right.
And then expecting some kind of melancholy Billy type thing. And then it came out and it was this like surprisingly really positive, happy album. And I remember thinking, oh, I don't know. And then putting it on repeat.
Yeah.
And then just just falling in love with that album.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Because it was just like, and it just makes you feel great. I was like, this is like a summertime, reminds me of summer, and like, you just get in a happy mood when you hear it. I mean, I think it is
super positive.
Yeah, and of course you got to play with Paz.
Yeah.
And who you played with, was it Papa M she played?
Yeah, after Zwan broke up, Paz and I toured together as Papa M for a long time. We did a ton of touring. And sometimes it would be her and Paz and Anna, Anna's her sister. And Anna would play cello and Paz would play violin, and sometimes we toured like that. And it was, she was a huge part, after Zwan broke up. And she's still we're still tight. I still talk to her. She lives in LA and stuff. So.
Yeah. And there's this famous Paz story here. From one of the it's a bloody great one. She's a firecracker and I think she's amazing. And I think it was I can't remember which festival it was, but she climbed up a pole, and she was very drunk and very high, shall we say.
Mm-hmm.
And she climbed up on a pole and was like swinging around on it and took her top off, I think. And and just screaming for the funniest shit, and she refused to get down. And it was like this huge, it's a story that always does the rounds, where they had all the security trying to get this, this quite petite, but woman, who no one had a problem with her having her top off and having a great time, but security are there trying to get her down. And she was just not having it at all. I can't remember what band she was here with then. It was quite a few years ago, but it was a great story. It was a really great story. And
that's definitely a side of Paz, for sure. There's some wild stuff that happened on the tours I've done with her. But, it wasn't like every single night or anything. It was just, she had to blow off some steam.
Yeah. Everyone does. I mean, you've worked with, you have worked with quite a lot of really strong, women who are icons, or, you've got Karen O, of course, which must have been amazing to learn from her and work with her. And then of course Paz, and then you have Mary and Letitia from Stereolab. So you like you're not afraid of strong women. Let's put it that way.
Well, yeah, and I think I am super into like women who play music or make music or anything. Like you know, like when the Riot Girl thing was happening, I was in DC for this Riot Girl. Like I met everybody and stuff. Like I've just always been a huge supporter because I love the female take on things. You know, like
Mhm.
uh, to me it's super interesting. Even when I was like in hardcore bands when I was younger, and you know, our girlfriends would come to practice or something, and um, like maybe some of the other, like if they spoke up and said, you know, we're trying to figure out a song and trying to figure out like how many times should we play this, and if
Yeah.
I remember specifically there was one time where my girlfriend spoke up and said something like, well, maybe you should do this and this, and everybody kind of looked at her like you're not, like who are you to say, you know, like that, and
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know what, she's totally right, let's try
I
it, you
call
know.
that the Yoko look. It's like the
Yeah,
Yoko look.
which I
Mm.
always thought was lame because here you have someone who has a better perspective on it. Because they're not talking about it in like technical terms. It's about how it feels to them, and to me that's
Mm.
more important. You know, is getting that
Yeah.
feeling. So I always encourage, like I always, you know, I love the, you know, uh, just like Karen O, like amazing songwriter and singer, and just everything was like amazing about her, and Paz, and yeah, like I just think uh, I'm almost more interested in the female perspective than the male, because not all the time,
Mm.
but like, you know, it almost doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
I feel like there's like a wider range of I don't know. I might talk myself into a hole if I talk about it too much, but I like the kaleidoscope of emotions, you know, like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like with guys, it's sort of simple, you know, it's like tech
Yeah.
gear stuff. And then, you know, like emotionally, it's like sex and anger and, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it seems more, it doesn't seem as like multi-dimensional or something. It's like a woman can have
Yeah.
all these feelings or something that to guys are just like, that's totally irrational, you know. And
Yeah. Yeah.
but but it's like but that's the whole beauty of it, because I feel like I'm more like a woman in that way. Like I have a rational kaleidoscope of emotions too, you know. So I feel like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
relate.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And I think that's why I relate a lot to your music, and I mean to you personally. I think
yeah,
that, you know, like you are multi-dimensional in that way. Then you get shit, and you like, you're not your
yeah,
typical, like, I mean, I remember when we met up again in person, I think Interpol, and it was like, you were all black metal, and
we are. Oh, that's right. Oh, that's
yeah,
right. I forgot.
and you were all like real black metal, and so was I think at the time. We were like this black
Yeah,
metal like pair walking around the city, and
yeah,
the just like the talking with each other, and and all that, like just immediately seeing, that multi-dimension between, you know, all this like whole range of emotions. And often, I guess, a lot of male musicians, not all, but a lot of male musicians, yeah, have this kind of masculine way of putting things out, and you've always been vulnerable in that way.
yeah, yeah. I
Like, and
think
not
so.
not being afraid to kind of um put some of that shit out there, and not act like, I'm this tough dude, and
Yeah,
this pose.
I do have the
So,
male side too. Like um, I
oh,
feel
I
like
know
I
that.
am a tough dude, but
I'm not
like
saying you're not a tough dude. I know
no, no,
I
I'm just,
definitely know you are.
but but I also like I feel like, you know, I'm not afraid to be vulnerable either. Like as
Yeah,
stomped on as I feel like, you know, my heart has been like over the years, like I'm still like, I'm not an emotional coward, you know, like
yeah, yeah,
I'm not gonna let, yeah, you know, some bad apples like fuck me up, so, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like, like, for better or worse, like I'm not afraid to take a risk, like with my feelings or something, so, and I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of people are emotional cowards, like, as soon as shit goes bad for a second, like they're gone, it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I have a lot of I have a lot of thoughts about that stuff.
Yeah, I know. I think we've had numerous, over the years, I think we've had numerous hour long text conversations about our emotional deal and
Yeah,
our crushed kind of hearts and all
yeah,
that kind of thing. So, and we really bonded over that, I think, as well. And I guess, moving forward, like, you did have that project that you worked on with Household Gods that you would,
right. Yeah.
that you were involved in. And there is actually one of the, I think Conan is actually watching. So,
Oh,
yeah,
cool. Yeah.
did you?
Hi,
Yeah, he's
Conan.
actually watching. Yeah. Did you want to tell us a little bit about what that was and how that came about?
Yeah, that was spearheaded by Conan. He had the idea of recording out in Joshua Tree,
Hmm.
at an amazing studio with Dave Ketching, who's, Queens of the Stone Age, and just like a lot of great bands out there. And but he wanted to assemble like the musicians that would be out there recording and but not show up with any songs really. Like we would just all get together. I'd never met any of them before, but we would all get together and just see what happens, like what we come up with and what ended up happening.
Like a freestyle jam type thing.
Sort of,
I
yeah,
guess.
yeah. It was just like when we woke up in the morning, like because you all stayed in a little house near the studio, and
Hmm.
when we woke up in the morning, we just like anybody got any riffs or like we
Yeah,
just
yeah.
assemble something right there, and then we'd go to the studio and kind of jam it out until it seemed like a sort of this there was some song structure, and then yeah, and it was really cool. It was really fun, and I made great friends, and um, like sadly, Lauren K. Newman, the drummer, passed away after that.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad I got to meet her and make music with her because she is powerful. Like talk about a strong woman, man.
Yeah.
She, really
She was a
super
drummer.
cool. Yeah, she was a
She,
drummer, and she's so tiny and like fragile looking, but she could destroy a drum kit, like, and
yeah.
she had a good feel too, like a Bonham kind of swing to the way she played. So and she could play guitar. She could do anything. Like she was amazing. She plays some guitar on the record, some
As
solos.
well. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And you can also get that Household Gods on Bandcamp for
that's right.
everyone
Yeah,
watching as well.
yeah.
So I guess musically now, what are you doing?
Well, I was supposed to come to Australia in April,
Yeah, in
and we
April,
were going to
yes.
hang out, and
We were.
I actually had two shows in Melbourne, like one with the Broken Sail, which is
Hmm.
a Sydney band that I really like a lot, and like
Yeah,
yeah, I talk to him all the time.
yeah.
And
That,
sorry. Go.
no, no, you're right.
Um, and then like Endless Boogie were going to be there in a New York band, and I was gonna we were gonna play together, which I was super excited about because I love
Oh,
them. And
yeah,
yeah, and just to be in Melbourne for a while, like was I was looking forward to that. But
yeah, yeah. I know.
the coronavirus,
I was super, super excited. I remember
yeah,
I texted you immediately and was like, "Ah,
yeah, yeah.
we're hanging out. We're going to hang
I
out."
know. It's been a
And
while
that,
since I've been in Australia.
yeah. So this would have been the first time since yeah, like
Since
quite a while.
Interpol,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
2012
yeah,
or something.
yeah. And then of course the first time we would have seen each other since 2015 incident. So,
Right. Yeah.
it would have been, I was so looking forward to it. So I'm hoping, we get a rescheduled show
I
and
know.
you get to come back.
I know
Um,
that. Well, that's the plan anyway. But like, I
mm,
mean, I have a pretty grim outlook on how long all this is going to last. So I feel like I'm
yeah,
afraid to set up any shows.
yeah, I think with Australia as well, it's going to be like a wait and see scenario because
Yeah.
a lot of the industry people are kind of, and friends that I've got who work in visa immigration, it seems like there's going to be quite a hold on international travel for quite a while. So at
Right.
least until it looks like next year at this stage, and we don't know
Yeah.
when. So it's a kind of, I guess, and it depends, I guess, on America's numbers for COVID and how
Yeah.
you guys,
And the
how
second
you guys,
wave.
yeah, and that kind of thing on whether we'll let internationals back in and that kind of thing. But I'm really trying to stay optimistic because
Oh,
there
good.
were so many shows, amazing shows, like through April, May, June,
Yeah.
and of course April being your one, which was like coming up, and so it was really, yeah, and then it was like
Yeah.
boom, COVID, like right,
Yeah.
bang. So yeah, that was a bummer. But
And who's to say
what?
when like people are going to feel comfortable even going to like standing shoulder to shoulder in a venue? Like
Oh,
I don't know when
exactly.
I'm going to be comfortable with that.
Yeah,
Like
no,
I have to be
same,
sure that shit
same.
is gone. Like,
Yeah, 100%. I mean, our numbers are down, but
yeah.
I'm not comfortable. Like, at the moment, this weekend actually we just opened restaurants and cafes and venues, but venues
Venues
no
too.
there's
Wow.
but venues have no gigs, so
Right.
they're only allowed to have booze, but you can only have booze if you have a meal. So
Oh, okay.
that's the stage, and at 20 people is the max. So that's where
Wow.
we're at the moment. So I mean, it looks like it'll be a slow process before venues open to the
Yeah.
point where a band can play, like, and how many people are actually going to be able to play,
Gotcha. Yeah.
and how many people can watch, because the social distancing thing is still very much a thing. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to mean like less people, higher ticket prices,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So a lot of the venues are working really hard to try and come up with plans of how they're going to be able to get back and
Uh,
do it in a way that will work. So
do you guys have
hopefully,
international travel right now? Like, could you fly to America, or can Americans? Oh, that's not happening.
no,
Gotcha.
no, we've got no international whatsoever going out or in.
Wow.
Yeah, so
That
we
is
don't even have
amazing.
some states don't even have interstate travel at the moment. Most do, but I think there's maybe WA and another one that doesn't. So
What does that mean? Like,
yeah,
you can't just drive to,
yeah, you can't
yeah.
fly or drive to the other state. So say like I can't
Whoa.
go to Perth, so you can't go to Perth.
Really?
But you can like
Gosh.
drive. You can drive around regionally. So like
Yeah.
go anywhere in Victoria or wherever you live.
See, to
But
me,
yeah,
all that is pretty smart because in America, if they tried to do that, like people would be like, like,
people will
fuck
lose
you, don't
visas
telling me
too.
what to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean New Zealand's basically it's completely gone,
yeah,
COVID. So
yeah.
we're going to be opening I don't know, very soon anyway. We're opening up NZAU travel again.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so yeah, that'll be happening. I mean, NZ is by far the winner in this whole scenario, like in the
Totally.
world scenario,
Yeah,
because
worldwide for sure.
they just nailed it. And yeah, and then I think we're probably second behind in terms of how we've got the numbers down and how quickly we've been able to contain it, and also
Right.
enforcing rules. But I mean, we've
Yeah.
also had a lot more stricter rules too. Like I was telling you last week, the insane fines, which
Yeah.
which obviously scares the shit out of people, and they're not going to fuck up if they're going to get like,
Yeah.
you know,
But they have to
a,
pay out of their
a
pocket
massive
for it.
fine. Yeah. So they're
Yeah.
kind of
See,
like, they're not going to do that. So, I mean, they've
I
only
mean,
enforced it once, I think, a couple of times, the different fines, but it's enough that it scared people into not doing it. So,
right.
yeah. And we've just
Yeah.
had 5 visitors. Now we are allowed to have 5 visitors per household.
Wow. See, that's the
And
thing, is like you guys at least enforce those kind of rules. Like in America, is like we suggest that you don't, do this, but we're not
yeah,
going
well,
to enforce them.
when the first stage happened, it was if you live with more than 2 people, you're not allowed to have visitors at all. You're only allowed to hang out with the people in your house. And
Yeah.
if you left the house, it was only allowed to be you plus one other person. That had to
Wow.
be someone from your house. So,
Um, but how does, I mean, we're getting super off
yeah,
topic, but like,
we're going on.
but this is really interesting to me. Like, how do you, how do you guys deal with, like, how do you deal with like people that are like, well, this is just like a police state now. Like this is the government, like,
Well, I guess
putting down the iron fist on us.
we haven't had I guess, like, as a country, we haven't had that response. So
Yeah.
watching America's response, people rioting and protesting and stuff because they want to go back to work, or they want things to be reopened.
Yeah.
We haven't had any protests and
I
things
guess
like
you
that.
guys aren't as dumb as we
Um,
are.
we're just
Yeah.
like, we don't want to catch this shit. Like,
Yeah, which is
and
sensible.
I guess also, we're lucky in the sense that, comparatively to every other country around the world, our government put in place financial support for everybody.
Oh,
So,
right.
yeah. So,
That's really good. Yeah.
everyone could, if you lost your job because of COVID,